And when I was brainstorming and God was speaking to me about this month, he hit me. I really don't do it a lot, but a sermon series, and y'all really enjoy sermon series. You know, normally I just go wherever God leads me, but he led me into a group of teachings, and we're going to do a sermon series. And if you follow us on social media, you probably already saw what the sermon series is all about. And, you know, and it's basically speak to the manager. That's what the series is going to be about. I don't know. It's for the month of June. It might go longer. It might go less. No, I just really go however I'm led. But it's speak to the manager. Speak to the manager. Y'all probably know, what do you really mean by that? Where did that come from? And it came from, I was meditating on a time when I was a season of my life where I was unappreciative of where I was at. I was overlooking the blessings that God had in my life at that moment. Come on, we all had times where we were just unappreciative of what God has blessed us with because we fell victim, and I fell victim, of more. I felt like what God has placed in my life was not enough. And I fell victim of more. I felt like where I was at, I was in Raleigh, Missouri, studying engineering at Missouri University of Science Technology. But during that time, I discovered my creative mind. I loved my creativity. I felt like Raleigh was not the place for me to explore my creativity, and it wasn't enough for me, so I was ready to go. My friend ended up doing the same thing, but he actually left, and he went to the Art Institute of Chicago. And he was telling me all about it. And you know, you never really know what you don't have until other people start talking about it. You know, and I didn't realize where I was at, I was cool. But when he started talking, man, all these opportunities he getting and these, the art and the creations he was making, all this stuff, I'm like, I need to be in Chicago with him. I need to go. And so, of course, I did what I always have to do. I talked to Mama Nichols. And, you know, one thing I love about my mother, you know, she adapted her parenting style as her kids got older. So instead of telling us, she was like, hey, coaching and guiding, like, this is what I would do, Nick. Now, I don't agree with the decision, but what I think you should do, and I tell this story all the time, is to work with what you have to get to where you want to go. Yeah. Work with what you have. See, it might not look like something, but work with it. That's right. And that's what we need to do. It might not look like it's something, but work with it. You might not see what it is yet, but work with it. You might want to give up right now, but just work with it because you never know what's right there until you work with it. And I had to learn how to maximize my resources. In order to maximize your resources, you need to manage what you have. And so my perspective started changing. Instead of complaining to God about what I don't have, I was like, let me manage what you already given me. Let me manage. Well, it's all about managing what God has given you. See, it will never feel like enough if you don't manage it. You hear people talk about it all the time, especially when it comes to money. People are like, oh, I just need $1,000. You get $1,000, you just blow it, it wasn't enough. I need $10,000. You get it, blow it, man, that $10,000 wasn't enough. Enough, it will never feel like enough if you don't manage it. What God has given you will never feel like enough if you don't manage it. It's all about managing what God has given you. In that season of my life, I was not managing what God has given me well. I was so focused on what I didn't have that the current blessings in my life were feeling neglected. The blessings in my life were feeling overlooked, were feeling abandoned, and they were ready to file a complaint. They're ready to file a complaint. And when I was thinking about us and thinking about how it's many of us in our life, we have neglected blessings. We have blessings that we don't show appreciation to. We have blessings that we neglect. We have blessings that we overlook, and they are upset. They are ready to file a complaint and then to the owner, and God is telling me that I need to speak to the managers. Speak to the managers on all those neglected blessings, all those underappreciated blessings, undervalued blessings. Speak to the manager. Who's the manager? It's you. Someone say me. It's you. That's right. You are the manager. God is the owner and you are the manager. God has placed you in charge to manage all that he has given you. We all have things that he has given us. We have blessings he has given us, talents, treasures, possessions, all the things that he has given you. It's up to you to manage it. And another word for managing what God has given you is what? Stewardship. And we are called to be good stewards of what he has given us. And in that season of my life, I was not being a good steward. I thought I was being a good steward because I was still giving. And one thing I learned that stewardship is not all about giving. Now, giving is a part of stewardship, but stewardship is not all about giving. So we are in this sermon series going to talk about giving. We're all going to talk about finances, money, because that's a part of managing what God has given you, stewardship. But overall stewardship is taking care of your money, and not just money, your time, your health. We want to eat what we want to eat. I'm 31. I'm like, I can't eat some of the foods. Like, I'll be having to eat Tums more than usual lately. I'm like, I can't, like, that barbecue. I'm like, okay, I ate a little too much barbecue. I got to pop this Tums in. I can't digest it like I used to. But managing health, managing money, managing possessions, managing relationships. God has blessed us in relationships that we don't take care of properly. Then that person no longer with us, or they left us, and now we upset. But a lot of times if you're not managing it properly, of course it's going to get taken. If it leaves, because God is a good father. So if you're not taking care of what he's giving you, what makes you think he's going to give you more? A lot of us want more, like God, enlarge my territory. And God's saying, what are you doing with the territory I gave you? We want God, I want more followers for influence, for impact. What are you doing with the little impact you do have? See, we always get so caught up on wanting more and more and enlarge and increase, but God is saying, are you taking care of what I already given you? God has been too good to us, better than good to us, and for a second, it's like it's not enough. It's not enough. We want to level up, but we're not taking care of the level that we at. We're not even conquering the level that we at. Where are all the parents out there? Make some noise. All the parents. If your kid is not taking care of something that you bought them, and then a few years later they want something else, what you gonna do? You're not gonna get it. You're not gonna trust them because you don't trust them with it, because when I did give you the new iPhone, you didn't take care of it. Now a newer one is out. You want me to get you the newer one? No, I don't trust you. I don't trust you. Because stewardship is about trust. God trusted you enough to have you manage what he's given you. So part one of this series is all about setting the foundation. Of Speak to the Manager is about setting the foundation. And I want to speak to you all about just the overall foundation of stewardship. The doctrine of stewardship, we need to go back to the beginning. Someone say back to the beginning. Sometimes it's okay to go back to the beginning. Sometimes it's okay to go back. Sometimes you need to go back to regroup, to realign. Like when I was studying this message and they said that, if you don't understand the foundation of stewardship properly, it's like misaligning your top button. Like everything else just won't line up right. But you need to understand the foundation of stewardship. And so we need to go back, we need to regroup, we need to realign. Because sometimes, it's okay, it's necessary to go back. I mean, when me and my brother left the house and went to school, and then after we graduated, we went about our own lives. And my mom always say, y'all always have room back home. If y'all need to, y'all can come back for a few months. Mama still got a life, A few months is important. Like, don't get too comfortable. You need to get back on your feet, young man. Come on now. But you have to go back. Me and my wife love this show called Stranger Things. I doubt if anybody in this room watched Stranger Things online. But the main character named 11, she lost her powers at the end of last season. So this season, she's having to go back to relearn, to regroup, and retrain herself. In basketball, a lot of time coaches in the beginning of the season, they go back to the fundamentals. We got to work on passing. Like, Coach, we've been passing for years now. We got to work on chest pass, bounce pass, all these different type of passes to reset the foundation. And so when it comes to the doctrine of stewardship, we need to go all the way back to the beginning. And it's just one verse. You can put it on the screen. It's just one verse. Genesis 1:1. 1. You will see it on the screen. Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That's the foundation of stewardship, lies all in this verse right here. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The world is God's because he created it. He created the heavens and the earth. His ownership is because he created the heavens and the earth. If you don't get that, nothing else will line up in this series. Nothing else will line up. If you don't understand that God created the heavens and the earth. And my subject is back to the beginning. Back to the beginning. We have to go back to the beginning to understand why it's important that we are good stewards over what God has given us. As the creator, God has absolute rights of ownership over all things. He has ownership of all things. He created. No one can create like God can create. I consider myself to be a very creative person, but my creation game is nothing compared to the way God creates. See, man can create, but we create, but we really don't create. We create using pre-existing materials. So when you create a chair, you're using something that was already made, which is the wood, the pre-existing material. Buildings, you're already using pre-existing material. Nobody can create. So we create, but our creation is more like a fashion or forming things out of pre-existing material. Where God, he didn't need no pre-existing material. God was able to look at nothing and turn it into something. God can create out of using no pre-existing material. He just spoke and things were created. No one can create. So to understand that God is the ultimate creator is to understand that he didn't need no pre-existing material. So that's the good to know that we serve a God that can make a way out of no way. We serve a God that can create. We serve a God that can look at nothing and see something. Can look at nothing and can see something. See, you might think it's nothing, but God is saying, I see something. You might think it's nothing. You don't see what it is. Yeah, you just see an empty blank canvas, and God is saying, I see something. And God has the power to create out of nothing. Doesn't that feel good to know that God doesn't need anything to create for you? He can create for you just by speaking. He can create you might think it's a dead end. You might think it's a trap, but you don't see no way through. But God say, I see a way through. The Red Sea, they ran into a trap. Like just being a human, if I'm running from someone and I come across the Mississippi River, I'm stuck because I'm not getting in there to swim. But God has the power. See, we see nothing. God said, I see something. And how many times have you in life felt like you had nothing? You don't see it. You don't know how you're going to get out of it. You don't know what you're going to do. And then next you know, God just provide for you. God just create a way for you because God has the power to create out of nothing. Out of nothing. You can't, and here's the thing, there is no creation without God. There is no creation without God. The book of John says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. All things were created through him, and apart from him, not one thing was created that has been created. There is no creation without God. And I'm in a season of my life, if God's hand is not in it, I don't want it. You know, when you go to a family reunion, you always asking, who hands prepared this food? Who made this food? Because I know they got some pets all in the kitchen. When you go to a potluck, you're like, I ain't eating such and such food because I seen them. I seen how they throw down in their kitchen. They not the only hands working in there. I see some paws too. And so we get picky. We all be like, look, who hands made this food? And so I started developing, hey, is God hand in this? If an opportunity come into my life, is God hands in this? Because if God's hands is not in it, I don't want it. if God's hand is not in this opportunity, I don't want this opportunity. It might look like a good opportunity, but it's not going to last. Because there's no creation without God. And when we say God that is the creator, we mean that he is truly creative. And he's in a category all by himself. No one can create like God can create. He's in a category all by himself. Satan cannot create. And we give Satan a lot of credit, but he has no power to create. So Satan cannot create. He can just pervert whatever God created. So God create, Satan perverts. Another word for pervert is corrupt. So God creates, Satan corrupt. Satan will just corrupt whatever God created, to throw it off track, to misuse what God has created. And corruption is dangerous. And when we think of corruption, here's the thing. We live in such a time of extremities. When we think of corruption, we think of extreme cases. We think of killings. We think of all the wars. We think of all the big stuff you see. But corruption can be small. Because in a sense, when I talked about that season of life that I was in, where I was feeling what God has given me was not enough, that was a type of corruption. My mind was being corrupted. Because comparison is corruption. Comparison is a sign of corruption because you're not appreciating what God has given you because you're too busy looking at somebody else's. And now you're corrupted. And now you're experiencing some type of corruption. And now it's not big as, what you see in the news and stuff, but you still feeling because it holds you back. When you start not being appreciative of what God has given you, that's a bad sign. And that's God. And God is saying, manage what I've given you, but you don't want to manage it because you want more. And now you are corrupted because you're too busy comparing. And I talk about comparison because comparison is very heavy now, especially with the age of social media. We get to see everybody's life, really. Normally, everything was kept up in a little community. You didn't know what was going outside your community. Now you looking at somebody in Australia getting jealous. Because of social media, comparison has increased. And now it's not just people like all the, Gen X and Gen Z, they fall. No, everybody falling victim of comparison. No matter what age, you stay on social media long enough, you fall victim of comparison. You start feeling less and less good about where you at in life because you are comparing. The enemy will corrupt your mind with comparison. But it's dangerous because we'll feel like we never have enough. We never have enough. And we don't steward over what God has given us because we feel like it's not enough. And I like how David wrote in the 24th Psalm, he declared that the whole world belongs to God. He said the earth is the Lord's. And not just the earth, but everything in it. Everything in it is the Lord's, and all the people belong to him. This verse speaks to the sovereignty of God. God is the ultimate ruler of this world. But here's the thing when I was doing this studying, God is the ultimate ruler, but check this out. He allows Satan to operate in this world within boundaries that he set for his people. So yes, God is the ultimate ruler, and yes, Satan is running rampant, but Satan does have boundaries. If you don't believe me, you could go back to the book of Job and eavesdrop on a conversation God and Satan had with one another over Job. When God saw Satan, he said, "What you been up to? Where you been?" And Satan was just saying, "I just been walking to and from earth, just, sinning." Just out here sinning who I can get. And God said, "Have you considered Job? Have you considered Job? Because he's blameless, he's upright, he fears the Lord." He read Job's entire resume. And what does Satan say? Don't you have a hedge of protection around him? You have a boundary around Job, and not just a boundary around him, but his family too. We serve a God that will just put a hedge of protection around you, but also put a hedge of protection around your family. So a lot of times, like what you protecting you right now are the prayers of your grandmother, the prayers of your great grandmother, The prayers of your mother, your father, prayers of your family can have a hedge of protection around you. You never know whose lives you can influence if you just pray. Your relationship with God doesn't just affect you. It affects your children, your cousins and them, your aunties and them, sisters and them. It affects people. Job had a hedge of protection around him and his family. So Satan had boundaries. He couldn't touch Job because there was a boundary. And so that shows that God is the ultimate ruler, and he's the one that removed the boundary. God removed the boundary and allowed Satan to do what he did. It was God who removed the boundary. God runs he rules this world. So the thing about it, when we look at Job's life and saw that how God removed the boundary, that means that what Job was going through, God allowed it. It was God approved. That storm you're going through is God approved. That situation you facing, God approved it. God is the ultimate ruler. It has to pass through him. He has the final sign off. In corporate America, you have, if you work in accounts payable, you have approvals. And like, who approved this purchase? And it's like, God approved it. When I was going through in 2016, it was hard to accept, but God allowed it. God approved it. And it speaks on how God is in charge of everything. God is in charge of everything. The fact that he allowed what to happen to you showed that he's running this. He's running this. He's running this. And this is what stewardship is all about, to understand that God is the owner. God is the owner because he's the ultimate creator. He created it and he owns it. So if God is the owner, what does that make us? Not co-owners. Some of us want to be co-owners. It sounds good. No, you're not the co-owner. God got this all by himself. When people be like, Jesus, take the wheel, he should already have the wheel. Like a lot of times, like Jesus, instead of saying, Jesus, take the wheel, say, Jesus, do not give me the wheel. Because if you give me the wheel, we're going to run into some ditches. I ain't going to know where we're going. You're going to be confused on where I'm going. You asking questions, and I'm just driving around. But Jesus, when you have the wheel, when you driving, I trust you. If you take us on a detour, I trust you. Y'all ever rode with somebody, they took a detour, you're like, where are we going? You got questions and concerns. Like in Uber, what I do? And how many of y'all look at the Uber map when y'all be in the Uber? Like I look to see where we going, make sure we on track. Because we deviate from this map, I'm jumping out this vehicle. I don't know where you taking me. But God is in control. God should already have the wheel. We should just be trusting God to navigate this life for us. Now, we trust him with everything else. We trust him. Why not trust him with the direction he takes us? Why not trust him with the storms he brings into? He didn't bring it to you into your life for no reason. Like I said last week, it's intention. He's intentional. He doesn't do anything just to do it. There's purpose behind his actions. And so God is the owner and since he's the owner, we are the managers, and that defines our relationship to God. Our relationship to God is him, and he makes us managers of what he's given us. God is the ultimate ruler, and he's given us blessings to manage. He's given us time to manage, to appreciate. We should appreciate time. Especially today, things are like, I follow sports a lot. Quite a few NFL players passed away. I'm like, people left and right just leaving. You should appreciate your time because you don't know when your time is up. You don't know when your time is up, and you don't want to appreciate the time God gave you. We should show appreciation to the time he has given us because we should, and that means managing it well. Stewardship is our calling as Christians. Stewardship was our first assignment. So we back to the beginning, right? So we need to go back to the beginning of the first man, Adam. Adam. The first man was Adam, and God had him as manager. Had him, after God created man, he planted a garden in Eden, and there he placed Adam. And the Bible said he placed the man in the Garden of Eden to tend and watch over it. Adam's purpose was to tend and watch over it. Some translations say to work and take care of it. Adam was a manager. God placed him in this field that he planted and said, now watch over it for me. God has put you in a situation and said, watch over it for me. Take care of it. Work it. Groom it. Manage it properly. Just think about something God has given you that you are not managing it well. You don't got to say it out loud, but there's some things in our life that we have that we're not managing it properly. And God put you in that and say you need to manage it. You need to tend it. You need to watch over it. And because a manager is someone who is given the responsibility to take care of something on the behalf of someone else. And who's that someone else? God. God has given you a responsibility. God has given you a responsibility to steward over what he's given you. It's a responsibility. And responsibility is tied to what? Accountability. So that means you're going to be held accountable. That's right. You're going to be held accountable. Now in this series, we are going to talk about the distribution of the talents. They were held accountable for their actions. So God's going to hold you accountable. When that time comes, they say, what did you do with what I've given you? It's hard to accept, but that's the truth. What did you do? And that's the question. What are you doing with what God has given you? Are you managing relationships well that God has placed you in? Are you managing your time well? Are you managing your talents well, your gifts well, your possessions well, your money well? What are you doing with God has given you? So and here's the thing about being a manager. A manager has a responsibility to watch over on the behalf of the owner. So a manager does have authority. So a manager has authority, but that doesn't make him the owner. God has given you some authority, but you're still not the owner. You still don't rule your own life. You are not the Lord of your own life, even though some of us want to be the Lord of our own life. You are not the Lord of your own life. You are simply just a manager. So you have authority, but you don't have the owner. And nothing worse than seeing somebody in a position of power that think they have more power than they do. Yeah, like in basketball, somebody the captain of the team, they think they're the coach. You ain't the coach. You're just the captain of the team. That's all. But as soon as they get a little power, some of us think, God giving me authority. So no, but you have authority, but that doesn't make you the owner, bro. Don't let that authority get to your head. Don't let that authority get to your head. You have authority to manage. You don't have the authority to rule over your own life. You have authority to manage, so you are not the owner, so let's stop acting like it. He placed Adam in a garden to manage it. What God has placed you in and told you to watch over? What has God placed you in and told you to take care of it? And you don't want to take care of it because you didn't ask to get placed in it. One thing I'm learning is God will put you in some situations that you really don't want to be in, but he's saying you need to take care of it. You need to manage in it. You need to manage it. You need to tend it. You need to watch over it. You need to take care of it. I didn't want to do this. Have you ever did something, say, I don't really want to do this? I didn't want to be in this position. And God's saying, but you in this position, so you need to be a good steward over it. And we don't want to do something because we don't want to manage. It's like we don't care because God is making us do something we really don't want to do. And I said it before, God doesn't really care if you don't feel like doing something. When he placed Adam, he didn't say, Adam, I need you to tend over it. You need to tend it, watch over it, work it if you feel like it. If you don't feel like it's all good, just enjoy all the blessings of an area I put you in. We want to enjoy the blessings, but don't want to manage it. We want to enjoy the blessing of the Garden of Eden, but we don't want to tend it. We don't want to work. When work was like our first assignment. He didn't say when he placed Adam in the garden, hey, just chill for a minute, man. Embrace it. Bask in the sun. Just live life to the full. He's not, no, now get to work. Get to work. Because if you don't take care, because what you don't take care of will degenerate. What you don't take care of will fizzle out a little bit. What you don't take care of, it will dwindle down. It will dwindle down. In sports, they have you, hey, every now and then you need to get some shots up. You need to work on your game because you don't want to lose it. Because over time, if you don't take care of something, it starts to fade out a little bit. You don't take care of that relationship, check in, managing it well, be attentive that relationship start fading out a little bit. And you're trying to see, dang, where did it go wrong when you stop managing it? And you trying to see where did something go wrong. The day you stop taking care of it, that's the day it went wrong. The day you stop caring about it, that's when it started going wrong. The day you stop tending, watching over it, managing, being a good steward of what God has given you, that's when it started going wrong. So think about that. When next time you're asking yourself, when did this go wrong? When did this go south? When did this go left? When did I stop taking care? When did I stop caring? Some of y'all got fired from a job. I'm like, when did it happen? When you stopped caring about that job. You stopped coming to work on time. You stopped caring about your performance level. You just stopped caring in general. Now you surprised at what happened? You surprised with the results because you stopped caring? If you're going to stop caring, embrace the results that come with stop caring. So the foundation of stewardship is understanding that God is the creator. And because he's the creator, we're the owner. Because he's the creator, he's the owner, and we're simply just managers. The Apostle Paul said we're simply fellow workers. We're just workers. Because here's the thing, the manager is not the owner, right? So the manager is still an employee. The manager is still a servant. So you're a manager, but you're also a servant. We're still called to serve God. We're still called to be a servant to what God needs in his earthly kingdom. We're simply fellow workers. So when we're thinking like managers, so God doesn't want us to give up good things. What he wants us to do is give up control. And that's the hard part. A lot of control freaks. A lot of people love control. A lot of people love control. And we want to be controllers of our own life. We want to do what we want to do, even though it goes against what God is wanting from us. Because we don't agree with what God is trying to do in our life. You ever saw like, God, I see what you're trying to do, but I ain't going for that. We have to be honest. That's how it goes. We want to control our own lives. So being a good steward means giving up control. Understanding that God is the ultimate ruler. And I'm simply a manager. Even though I probably don't like what he's given me to manage, I'm still called to manage it. I'm still called to take care of it. I'm still called to manage it well, be a good steward. And we need to find joy in our assignment. You should find joy in managing what God has given you. The fact that God, if somebody trusted you, let's say, okay, that's God, but say your favorite, celebrity, that you love to follow, trusted you with their house, their mansion. You're going to feel good, like, oh, you trust me enough to take care of your mansion? You trust me enough to drive your car? You trust me enough, and that same thing we get, like I have the feeling like that if my boy Brown became a billionaire. If he trusted me with some money, I'm going to feel good about it. I'm going to feel great about my Bishop. We got some tithes and offering coming our way. Let's go. Your boy got trusted some money. But that excitement, that joy, we should get that same way when it comes to God. The fact that God trusted you enough to bring this into your life for you to take care of it. I know them teenage years are hard for your kids, but God trusted you enough to raise that child. I know it's challenging, but he's saying he wants you to manage it. He wants you to manage it. He wants you to take care of it. He wants you like, God, this is frustrating. And forgetting that you was a teenager as well one time. Did I act like this, God? You asking your mom, did I act like this when I was a teenager? Yeah, you did. Oh, well, I'm sorry. Some of us need to apologize to our parents. But find joy in the assignment of being a good steward. Find joy in because he's not taking nothing from us, but he trusts you enough to bestow his gifts upon you. He trusted you enough. And as I close, I just want to say he trusts you enough. God trusts you. He trusts you enough to give you those gifts. And he's expecting you to manage those gifts. He's expecting you to be a good steward over what he has given you. And if you want increase, take care of what he's already given you. If you want more, take care of what he's already given you. Take care of what God has already given you. I know it's good being a dreamer, being good, like, I think years ahead. I think I'm 31, I'm already thinking about 35, 40. It's good to think like that, but I can't neglect what he's doing in my life at 31. Because I want to manage what he's given me. The day you stop caring is the day things will start going down. The day you stop caring. The day you stop caring about what God has given you, and we need a reminder. This part one was a wake-up call. The same way I had a wake-up call when years ago when I was being unappreciative of what God was doing in my life because my mind was in Chicago, my mind was in Moore. I needed that wake-up call. And so part one, this is just a wake-up call that, hey, take care of what God has already given you because you are the manager. And so to all the managers out here, in-house and watching online, take care of what God has given you. Those blessings that you're overlooking, take care of them. Steward over them. Those blessings that are feeling undervalued, start showing them some appreciation. Like, God, I appreciate what you've been doing in my life. I appreciate, are y'all appreciative where God has got you right now? You might not be where you want to be, but you are not where you used to be. And for that, we should just show appreciation. I know I'm not where I want to be, but God, I thank you. I thank you that I came a long way. How many of you have came a long way? I've came a long way. And sometimes that's why it's always good, like I say, go back to the beginning. Go back to how you used to be. And I bet you'll be appreciative. Every now and then you need a reminder. Go back and see, that's how I used to be, now look at me. Every now and then I go back. I still got the recording of the late message back in 2009. And like, wow. From 2009 to 2022, I'm like, God, I appreciate it. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not that same person I used to be in 2009. And for that, I thank you. Let's give God the appreciation, praise that he deserves.